What's good all? It's your favorite flowgrammer, Max. This week we've been pushing it like salt and pepper, but I can't play the track because we don't have the budget for that. So let's kick it off with some studio project updates. So for the Building AI Agents tutorial series, I'm getting some great feedback. Thanks a lot, guys. I plan to do a video on prompt engineering best practices in the context of AI agents. And on that one, I'm going to be doing some research over the Christmas break because you hear some contradictory things and I'm not going to put out anything that I haven't battle tested myself. Also got some folks asking about structured outputs in n8n. So this is how you can have your AI agent not output just human text, but structured output like a JSON object or something like that. So that's critical when you have your AI agent interacting with traditional systems when you want that response to be an API call or inform logic. Very often you might want to take a bunch of fuzzy data and turn it into a true or false. Not a, yes, sure, I can do that for you, Max, because then that true or false can be used in conditional logic, etc., etc. And then again, once that tutorial series is over, I'm gonna stick my teeth into some like crazy wild use cases, because as useful as it is making this introductory one-on-one stuff, I got my eye out for our power users, for the guys that know all that stuff now and are trying to get their teeth stuck in. So we'll do an advanced use case build out once that series is wrapped up. And since it's cold and miserable in Berlin right now, let's head over to sunniest Arizona and check in with Professor Menendez. For any lawyers watching this, do not construe that as Angel having a PhD. What does that even stand for? I just call him the professor because he's super knowledgeable. All right, check this out.
Hey Max, first of all, thank you for the well wishes. I'm feeling a lot better. I just wanted to take a few moments and give you a few updates. One of the things I completed this week was sending out a swag package to one of our big YouTube promoters. Super excited to see that part of the video. Can't wait to see what they think. So a big part of my job here is to help our sales team use our own tools internally, essentially dog fooding. One of the things that I've been working on is building an automated tool with our sales team to essentially go into their calendar and prep them each morning for all of their upcoming sales meetings. So that means checking things like our CRM tools, pulling all those details, getting everything organized on the back end so that everything is ready to be updated, and then provide a summary for our team to be able to quickly jump into the notes for each of the customers they're meeting with. These notes are centralized, so it allows the team to work together, to collaborate on their notes and see where everyone's at. So any of the account executives are able to see what has happened across all communication with a given customer. That's been a really fun project, and it's helped the team collaborate even more closely together. The other thing I've been working on is a big project that I've completed internally called CallForge. So this project essentially uses local AI to analyze our sales calls and essentially create structured outputs that the team can use to see what all the other sales team members have been up to. This allows for our team to know what's going on as far as not just individual customers, but across the bigger picture. Things like objections, competitors, integrations that we have, sentiment analysis, all these things working together using Notion and relational databases to provide a bird's eye view of what the entire sales team is doing. So that's essentially it. It has been a busy week. I hope to get back to my project soon. Otherwise, I'm going to give it back to you, Max, and looking forward to watching this video.
As always, thanks for that update, Angel. Appreciate it. Gentleman and a scholar, or not, since he's not a PhD. So for this next bit, unless you've been living under a massive rock, you'll heard that Google came out with the Gemini 2.0 Flash model. It's in experimental mode right now, but the headlines are that it's multimodal, massive context window, fast, cheap, yada, yada, yada. I was getting some questions on whether you can set it up in n8n. The answer is yes. I also wanted to get a quick first opinion on it. Now, I've only had a brief look at it. Now, it's definitely really fast, but I see some caveats that could be good or bad, actually, depending on your use case. So check this one out. Let's try the new Google Gemini Flash model in n8n. So the first thing that we need to do is get our API key. Fastest way to do that is just search get Gemini API key. It's going to be the first link at ai.google.dev. And then from here, you're going to want to click the Get a Gemini API Key button. And here you can create an API key. You're going to have to add it to a project. And you can do this on any Google account. So if you have a free Google account, you should be able to do this. You're going to copy this API key. I will delete this by the time you see this video, so feel free to try it. But again, they're free, so you'd be pretty crazy to use my key. And then pop over into n8n with that in your pasteboard. And let's just add an AI agent. And then let's click to add a chat model. We're going to pick the Google Gemini chat model. And then in here, you would create a new credential. We're going to pop that in. This URL is correct, the default one. We save that. Great. And now you can access all the different models here. If you scroll down, you've got the last version of Flash. And then if we keep scrolling, there's Gemini 2.0 Flash Experimental. This is going to be the latest one. This is a proxy. Here you could pick specific ones. If we pick this bad boy here, we could click the chat, for example, just to test it. Which model are you? Okay. It doesn't know exactly which model it is, but that is how you use Gemini 2.0. Now, from my quick testing, it seemed a little naive in using multiple tools. Like I really had to instruct it to use multiple tools. I had a case where I was telling it to come up with relevant articles, and it said, I can't do the task because I don't know how to infer relevancy. So it seems like it's very sort of law-abiding, which could be a good thing, right? I don't mind being prescriptive in my prompts if I have a real business use case. I'd rather spend half an hour and have a much more predictable experience. It was fast for when I was using it, but again, with the multiple tool usage, I was having some issues in having it invoke those multiple tools. Again, lots of use cases where a single tool is useful. So I will be looking more into this model, but I wanted everyone to get unblocked on how to experiment it with yourself. And if you learn something about it, if you form an opinion on it, please send me a message on LinkedIn or drop a comment, because I'm very curious about really all these new models coming out, as I'm sure many of us are. Nice one there, Max. I think you knocked that out the park, baby. This week in Berlin, we had a nice, intimate n8n meetup hosted and organized by our awesome n8n ambassador in Berlin, Marcel. There was some awesome talks on building cool shit with building stuff with AI. And then everyone had the misfortune of hearing me speak for half an hour, also about AI. I shilled my coupon code to people quite a bit, max50, and we ate some pizza. But on a real note, I'm truly humbled each time I go to n8n Meetup. I recommend to all of my colleagues to go check them out because I've never seen such a community. People are walking up to you, they're excited about n8n, they're telling you how, it changed their life in some way. I'm not kidding, changed their life. I see a lot of people like, I was in this role, or this industry, picked up n8n, helped with my career, or I'm doing fun things, now I'm building. I didn't think I could build before, I wasn't a developer, and now I learned a little bit of code. It's energizing, and I'm so grateful to have the most awesome community ever. So thanks to all of you guys. And I highly, highly recommend you check if there's a community event in your area, because we've got a growing number of ambassadors around the world organizing those for you. And all you got to do is attend, listen, and eat and drink for free. So to do that, head to our Luma page. Should be somewhere here. I think it's lu.ma/users/n8n. If that's correct, go me. And then last week in Barcelona, we popped into an n8n user meetup there. Again, same amazing energy. And so I tried something new and shoved the camera in someone's face and asked them a few questions. Now, when I was looking at the footage later, it honestly looks like we paid the guy. Did not. This happens all the time. n8n users are truly nuts about it, but makes sense. I'm literally walking in the park in the middle of the day talking about it, so I guess I am too. All right, anyways, blah, 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 check this out.
Well, hi, my name is Ronald, and I went to automations and technologies 7 years ago. I found n8n on the pandemic, on groups of no codes, and the way you can use Canvas, drag and drops, tools to get automations without knowledge of anything of code, it's amazing. I come from the hotels and tourism sector when you have to deal with a lot of automations like reservations, informations, all this kind of data. And the way you can transform, extract, separate, combine information with n8n is amazing. Works that used to have to take you 31 hours to do that, less than 5 minutes with the all process information.
And if you look back, because you've been using n8n for 2 years, right?
Yes.
What's like the workflow you're most proud of?
Definitely AI agents.
Yeah?
Yes, because combining AI agents with automations and giving them the information, what to decide to do, where to send in, recommends, filtering, is incredible. I mean, you could take a long time to do that manually.
For sure. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Ronald. Next up, I had a chance to talk with Elias, an engineer on n8n's Node team. He's putting the finishing touches on a massive revamp of n8n's code node. So for any of my syntax lovers out there, or if your default IDE is VSCode, you're gonna wanna check this out. The audio is a little off sync. We like to keep things 80-20 on n8n. So if you have a good recommendation for recording podcasts live, let me know. Because Descript, I know you just acquired Squadcast, but the integration's a little iffy, and I think it needs a little love. All right, anyways, check this out. So I have it on good authority that you've been working on a pretty interesting feature at n8n. But before all that, would you mind introducing yourself quickly?
Yeah, so I'm Elias. I work on the in the Nodes team at n8n, I think for a year and a half now. And recently I've been cooking up a new feature. So excited to show it to you today.
And I'm very excited for this one because the first time that we worked together, we worked on the context menu on like a hack day, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was a really, really fun one. And I'm happy with the way it came out in the end.
Absolutely. I was truly blown away by your velocity and your details. It's one thing when you work with an engineer when they follow exactly what you told them to do. And it's like a whole nother level when they have the confidence to be like, yeah, but what about we do it like this? Really excited to see what you've been cooking up. Could you just give everyone a little bit of context on what problem you were trying to solve?
The main problem we were trying to solve is that the autocomplete in the current code node was not that great. It wouldn't always work. Like if you had like loops or nested functions, it wouldn't complete the correct things. So we wanted to make that whole completion experience a bit smarter and better. And I think overall, the goal is to make it closer to a code editor that our users are used to, like VSCode or whatever you prefer.
That makes a lot of sense. I see you got a diagram here in your workflow. I'm guessing that's got something to do with it. Can you walk me through it?
Yes, so the new code node is using the TypeScript language server. And because it's a smart, very smart thing, but it's also quite heavy. So we run it in a web worker. That way the n8n editor remains smooth even when you're editing large amounts of code. And we also don't have to load TypeScript and the whole completion thing unless you're opening the editor. So that helps with performance,
Very cool. Would you mind walking us through some of these new upgrades that everyone's going to be getting?
of course. So I think the main thing is that the completion is a lot smarter. So even now in a loop, the editor now knows the type of things that are coming from the previous nodes. So for example, if I hover here over cuisine, then it knows that it's a string. Like for example, here it's Italian. And it knows that on a string, certain methods are available.
I remember when it didn't have that before, there would be all these different methods that you could apply to it, but it didn't know about that, right? So was that the reason because it didn't know that
Yeah,
it was a string?
yeah, exactly. So the previous autocomplete was basically completing based on patterns. So it was trying to this is already too complicated because here it's hard to find a pattern to know that you're completing an item. I think it could complete in cases like this, then it would work.
For me, basically, as soon as there was more than one period involved, it would basically start falling apart, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This basically
exactly.
fixes that kind of at the root because you're doing it with these workers in a completely different way. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Because TypeScript is powering this completion and it's aware of the syntax, it's aware of the data, the types of the data. So it's just way, way smarter.
Very cool. All right. So what else are we getting, Elias?
So another thing that the new editor can do is show you unused variables. So if I define a new variable and I don't use it, it will tell me, it will fade out the variable and it will tell me, hey, you declared this variable, but you didn't use it. Same thing for if you define a function and you don't end up using it.
Nice.
And so that's a useful little thing. Something else you can do now is auto formatting. So if I mess up the formatting of this thing and then I press Alt Shift F, this will automatically format the code.
Yeah, I feel like that's super useful for all of us who are using GPTs, etc., to write our code and paste it in. That's a
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
one.
exactly.
I saw something interesting as well around drag and drop. What's that all about?
Right, right. Almost forgot about that one. So I think a couple versions ago, we introduced drag and dropping in the once for each item mode. You can now drop any variable from the left. It will drop in like this. This also works
Amazing.
for nodes that are further back. So if you do this, that also works. And then now in this version, what I also introduced is drag and drop for the other mode. So now if I drag and drop this, it will pick the first item by default, but it also works, selects the correct field and all that.
I'll admit, it's something I've been doing for months, and then it doesn't work because it wasn't, I just assumed to drag and drop because you're in the flow, you're building a workflow. So I think that's going to be a real nice
Yeah.
addition to, I feel like, the mental model that was already there. So, Elias, this is already like really fantastic stuff. I'm sure users are going to love it. Is there any other goodies that they're getting as part of this update?
So I think there's almost too many to list, but another one that I think is pretty cool is that you can actually type your function. So we don't allow typing TypeScript yet. So you can't do this, for example. Doesn't work because it's not valid JavaScript. But you can use JSDoc to type your functions, and then the autocomplete will become aware that this is a string, and it knows the functions of a string. And from there, the autocomplete just works and your function will also be typed correctly. So in this case, I'm always returning a number, so it knows that this function will return a number and complete based on that. We also added search and replacing. So now you can command F and the little search and replace UI will show up. You can search something and replace it.
Oh, nice. I see what you've got replace all. What are some of these checkboxes there?
Yeah, so you can also use a regular expression if you want to. So you can do something like this.
Ah, very cool.
And that also works. You can also do by words. So then it will only select full words. So now cook, it doesn't select anything. But if I would do cook time, it would select it because it's a full word. And then you can also choose to only match the case. So only if it's exactly the same casing as you typed here, it will match.
Well, it's nice seeing a lovely code node step closer to what one expects in a IDE. I can imagine if you're used to things in IDE or in any software you're in, if you're used to something and you go somewhere another context and you don't have it, it's frustrating, right? Like you want to work as fast as you can with all the shortcuts that you've learned over the years and whatnot. And so, Elias, when can we expect this to come out and what's on your list next?
I think this will come out early next year. And I think what I would like to do next is add a little helper for functions. So for example, if you're here, you want to use the parse time function, there would be a little pop-up here helping you, okay, the parse time function has these arguments as you're typing. That's one of the things I would like to add. So we're trying to keep the code nodes familiar to people who are used to other text editors. And for that, we based our keyboard shortcuts on VS Code. So most of them will translate one-to-one. Maybe some of my favorite ones I'll quickly show off, like
Please do.
Command-Shift-K to delete a line works. Command-D to select multiple instances of the same string. Alt-clicking to add cursors works. So yeah, there's just, I think most of the VS Code key map is implemented in the code node now.
Very cool. And I'm sure a lot of more technical users are really going to appreciate that. Well, Elias, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time to polish this off, especially it's at the end of the year. You got to get this past the finish line. So thanks for spending a little time on that. I hope you have a lovely holiday, a well earned, I'm sure, and can't wait to have you back on the show and see what you're cooking up next.
Thanks. Yeah, happy to show it off and enjoy your holidays.
Thanks. You too. Ciao. Thanks a lot, Elias. Appreciate that. That should be coming out right at the beginning of 2025. And part of that is n8n's doing a code freeze over the holidays to make sure we don't introduce any nasty bugs when a lot of the team is off, and to make sure that our support team doesn't have a hellish holiday. And honestly, I'm very proud of that. So you're gonna have to wait a little bit more for that feature, but the reason is that n8n is not a shit employer. So thanks, Jan. Really appreciate that one. And please repost this video because you have a much bigger following than I. Cheers. All right.
Hey, what's going on, Max? I just wanted to send you a video really quick here because I recently launched a platform as a part of Automator called the Live Agent Studio, and this thing uses n8n a ton behind the scenes. Essentially, it's a directory of AI agents that people can go and try right now, download the source. All of these agents are completely open source, and it is community driven because other people can submit agents onto this platform. The best part is, most of these agents right now are n8n agents under the hood. I have just been loving n8n, what it does for me, the things I can build with it, and what it enables me to do for platforms like this. And I've even been starting to collaborate with other YouTube creators that use n8n a lot, like Nate right here for this agent that helps with LinkedIn, X, and blog content creation, and then Zubair over at AI Workshop for this business idea researcher. And I'm gonna keep working with other people and the entire community to build up this platform and just be an amazing place for people to try out agents and learn how to implement it for themselves and their businesses, a lot of times using n8n.
So that's all for this week, or rather this year. Unlike most of my American friends, I'm taking the rest of the year off to recharge and eat far too many varenke and homemade borscht. At the same time, I'm a massive nerd and will probably be plotting what I should be doing in terms of projects and content for a 2025. So, what do you want to see? Who do you want me to interview? What kind of questions do you have? What do you think I should build? What do you think is impossible for me to build? Challenge accepted. And then on like a sentimental, like we should probably cue up some really cheesy music. Thank you everyone so far for your support. It's was a little scary to start this. There were some people at n8n's team that were a little concerned on the ROI and value of such initiative. It makes sense. I respect any system with checks and balances, unless they're telling me no, of course. But yeah, people seems happy. 2025 seems promising. We're talking about some potential road trips. My Christmas gift this year from all of you is knowing that my dream job, the coolest thing I've done so far in my career, is something I'm going to continue to be able to do with trust, to get a bit more creative, a bit more daring. So seriously, everyone, I really appreciate it. Ask my mom, ask my girlfriend. I get a big smile on my face these days, and a big part of that is this. So as always, thanks everyone, and happy flowgramming.